Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. This is Bhagavati Vasudha Devidasi from Mangalore, India. Please forgive me for stopping all of you from ecstatic chanting. Now let us move on to the next part of the session. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy name given by Vyasadeva in Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures and portions to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. So once again, I thank everyone for joining the Bhakti Sanga conference call. Let us move on to the next part of the session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all are joining the call today?
हरे कृष्ण भगवती वसुधा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीतिदासी प्रभुशालो हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Priti Mataji, Dandavas Pranam Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Arvindax Prabhuji, Dandavas Pranam Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you Prabhuji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Lila Devidasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Manjari Leela Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Prindas.
Hare Krishna Vrilla Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All go to Srila Prabhupada, all go to Guru Garanga. This is Priyambada Radha Priya Devidasi from Canada.
Hare Krishna Priyam Vada Radha Priya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Anita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, all glories Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devdasi from Dana.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Shyama Guri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Guru Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, we can.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Susmita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna. Okay,
Yeah.
I welcome all of you once again. Thank you everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are really fortunate to have His Grace, His Holiness Bhakti Vinod Swami Maharaj to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam 7.10.30 to 33. Before I hand over the call to Maharaj, I would like to hand over the call to Susmita Mataji for the brief introduction. Hare Krishna Mataji, over to you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to read introduction. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are so fortunate to have His Holiness Bhakti Vinod Swami Maharaj on the call as our speaker. Maharaj is a senior full-time monk in the renounced order of Sannyasa and was awarded the Sannyasa initiation by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj in 2009. Maharaj is a chemical engineer graduate from the National Institute of Technology at Trichy, South India, with a soaring and colorful past, having won awards for most outstanding student cultural activities like drama, debate, and as best singer or guitarist at a national level. Maharaj got attracted to ISKCON during his M.Tech student life days at IIT Bombay and joined ISKCON in the 80s and got his first initiation in 1983. Right at the start of a lucrative career back in the mid-80s, inspired by the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, he summarily disengaged himself from worldly life to become a full-time monk, spreading the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and glories of Lord Sri Krishna worldwide, and his focus is currently on bringing the wealth of that knowledge, especially to the future of the world, our youth. As a director of Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust Kerala Division, Maharaj has led the project to translate and launch the Srimad Bhagavatam in Malayalam, which has helped grow ISKCON significantly in Kerala. In addition to his extensive preaching and inspiring youth to take Krishna conscious, Maharaj is doing many senior roles in the ISKCON, and he is the ISKCON Zonal Secretary for Kerala and West Tamil Nadu and Deputy GBC for Worldwide ISKCON. Maharaj is the chairman of the International Outreach Effort for the GBC Strategic Planning Team, and many more like members of the ISKCON's India Bureau, member of the regional governing body for ISKCON, India Director of Turiya Academy, etc. Under the able guidance of Maharaj, who is also the temple president of Sri Jagannath Mandir ISKCON Coimbatore, a magnificent temple of Sri Sri Radha Krishna at the 8-acre site of ISKCON at Coimbatore is coming up. And the temple would include a center for Vedic and cultural education, museum, cultural center, restaurant, dining halls, theater, and Vedic library. Here is a brief introduction of Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. Mataji, I will hand over the call to you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Thank you. A quick comment. You forgot to say that I'm trying to be a servant of Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Please accept all of our full obeisance.
Om
Thank you,
Gyana
Maharaj.
Tamirattasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. So we are reading today from Canto 7, Chapter 10, Text 30. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Maivam Vibho Asuranam Te Pradeyah Padmasambhava Varaha Krura Nisarganam Ahinam Amritam Yatha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead replied, "My dear Lord Brahma, O great Lord born from the lotus flower, just as it is dangerous to feed milk to a snake, so it is dangerous to give benedictions to demons who are by nature ferocious and jealous. I warn you not to give such benedictions to any demon again." Text 31. Sri Narada Vacha Iti Uktva Bhagavan Rajams Tataschantardhade Harihi Adrishyah Sarva Bhutanam Pujitah Parameshthina. Translation. Narada Muni continued, "O King Yudhishthira, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is not visible to an ordinary human being, spoke in this way, instructing Lord Brahma. Then, being worshipped by Brahma, the Lord disappeared from that place." Text 32. Tadaha sambhujya shirasa vavandhe parameshtinam bhavam prajapatim devan prahrado bhagavat kalaha. Translation. Prahalada Maharaja then worshipped and offered prayers to all the demigods, such as Brahma, Shiva, and the Prajapatis, who are all parts of the Lord. Okay, text 33. Tataha kavyadibihi sardham munibihi kamalasanaha daityanam danavanam cha prahradam akarotpatim. Translation. Thereafter, along with Shukracharya and other great saints, Lord Brahma, whose seat is on the lotus flower, made Prahalada the king of all the demons and giants in the universe. Purport. By the grace of Lord Narsimhadeva, Prahalada Maharaj became a greater king than his father, Hiranyakashipu. Prahalada's inauguration was performed by Lord Brahma in the presence of other saintly persons and demigods. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. I'd like to thank the organizers here for giving me an opportunity to be with all of you today on your regular Bhagavatam schedule. I know today is a working day and many of you are waiting to get back to work, while some of you have all the time in the world, I know. We are reading from that section of the Bhagavatam, which I presume is the end of the Prahalada Charitra. That is, Prahalad is finally being blessed by Narasimhadeva. Brahma is involved in actually taking charge and doing what he needs to do, that is to establish Prahalad as the king, because Hiranyakashipu was ruling all the three worlds, and he has been summarily finished with by the wonderful Leela that we read, by the wonderful activity of Lord Narasimha. And everybody is happy because the demon was torturing everybody quite a bit. And people are breathing a huge sigh of relief because the Lord has appeared. He has benedicted all the demigods. He is in a very happy, everybody's in a very happy mood because they're relieved of all their difficulties. And then Prahalad is installed as the king. So here there is advice given by Krishna to Brahma, saying that you should be very careful about the boons that you give. If you give such boons to the asuras, they are very ferocious, they are violent, they are jealous, etc., etc., as mentioned here. Actually, although he's saying these things, Hiranyakashipu also got a very good destination. And Prahalada, also being the devotee of the Lord, is being accepted as a ruler. So there are things that the Lord has done, which he says he will do, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Coming paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. Taking care of the devotees, it's called poshana. This aspect of the Bhagavatam where he took care of Prahalada Maharaj and the demigods. It's called, one of the characteristics of the Bhagavatam is poshana. Looking after those who are actually his devotees, protecting the situation, and so that they can continue to render devotional service to Krishna and progress. This is one of the characteristics of the Bhagavatam. Then there is Manvantari Ishanu Katha. Katha related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is also relevant here because you heard the story of the brilliant devotee called Prahalad, and you also heard the story of how the Lord manifested himself as Narasimhadeva. In this way, there are many things happening here, but the piece of advice that Krishna is giving to Brahma is a very high-class, very sophisticated counseling. Brahma is a very intelligent person. He needn't be told repeatedly, and it is not that he will repeatedly make the same mistake or something like that. Since he's a very sophisticated person, his counseling is very different. So here the focus is on that, and Brahma is understanding very nicely what is happening and why it is happening and what mistake I have done. But you won't see that seriously being discussed by Brahma and everything. You discuss the so-called activities of Hiranyakashipu and the horrible things that he did. And then you will discuss maybe the Leela of the Lord. But Brahma is not being discussed very seriously here. And so also during the Brahma Vimohana Leela, you will also see that Brahma offered prayers. And Krishna was very reserved, very reticent. He didn't say really anything much at all. Like he even told Indra. When Indra came with Surabhi as per the advice he got. But to Brahma, he did not say anything much because he is a very intelligent devotee and he knows exactly what the message is. So here Krishna is just forced to tell that I think you blew it here. You shouldn't have given these type of boons without understanding whom you're giving to. So this is a high-class cosmic management counseling. It's not an ordinary counseling. And these are very responsible personalities. Sometimes we think the demigods, they're only demigods, they're not the supreme personality of Godhead. I worship only Krishna, da 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 da, and all that. But you don't know that these are also devotees. And they are not small-scale devotees. They are very huge in their service. Like you can imagine Brahma's service. Atra sarga visargascha sthanam poshanam utayah. Visarga, secondary creation is entrusted to him. It's not an ordinary thing. Secondary creation entrusted to him. And therefore, he does it with great responsibility and great Krishna consciousness. It's a huge service. And to be given that type of a service, you should be having that type of a Krishna consciousness level. Otherwise, you can't execute it. You would struggle very much. And most probably it'll be, not done properly. So Krishna knows, and Brahma has gone through all the tapasya right from the beginning. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Suraya. Adi Kavi, the original personality, the first born person in this universe. And Krishna knows the amount of responsibility Brahma can take and will take, and the level of his, dedication and commitment to Krishna and everything. So this is a mild tap on the wrist as saying, excuse me, don't give all these type of boons, which actually packs inside that Krishna has given a lot of freedom to Brahma to use it and do things for the welfare of the living entities, which he does very carefully. And here there's a small slip. You see, when devotees are responsible, right, then, and they're committed, then you don't have to really instruct them too much. It's just a mild indication is enough for them. Just a mild indication. I was told that in the Bhagavatam, you see, there is indication of how instructions are given and how they are accepted and how they are followed. I thought I'll focus on this a little bit today. It's mentioned that Prabhupada was having several very intimate devotees with him, disciples. I was told that Tamal Krishna Maharaj was so sensitive to Prabhupada's instructions and what he needs, that he would understand just by the look of Prabhupada that this is what Prabhupada wants. This is what Prabhupada wants. And he would give him water, he'll open the window, he will, do what is necessary. He just gets to know by prompting of the super soul. And it turns out to be correct. So I heard that, I was feeling very inspired that a devotee is so connected with Krishna, so connected with his guru, that he can understand what is needed. But that's not it. Brahma knows very well what is needed. And he just went away a little bit. He was a little bit wrong. But that also has got a purpose. And it, unfolded this whole Leela. But Brahma is a person who can immediately understand an instruction. And he can execute it. He has executed a massive, instruction of Krishna in Visarga. So it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam also, Uttamas Chintitam Kuryat, that a Uttama devotee, a top class devotee, Chintitam Kuryat, he will think about it and understand and he will do it. It doesn't have to be told how to do, and doesn't have to be called and said do. Proktakari tu madhyamaha, a next level devotee, middle level devotee, he will be doing only when told. If he is told only, he will do. Adhamo ashraddhaya kuryat. Then the third class devotee is one who is told and he does it grudgingly without much shraddha or interest and faith in it. Oh, it's got to be done, what to do, I am in the situation and I am forced to do, nobody is there to help, and I, not really very much involved in doing it, not really very much in touch with it, like that. So then, akarta ucharitam pituhu. Akarta means one who does not carry out the instruction that is given by the Lord. He is akarta ucharitam pituhu. He is stool. Don't even talk about him to me. Forget him. It's not part of our discussion. If you cannot execute the instruction of the Lord, simply forget it. We don't want to talk about you. So 4 classifications. Uttamas chintitam kuryat. Brahma is on that category of uttama. Chintitam kuryat. Because he simply meditates very deeply and understand what the Lord has wanting me to do. And the Lord inspires him like that, and he does it. Which shows that he is very well connected with Krishna. He's very well connected with Krishna. Similarly, Prahalada Maharaj, very high level of connection, dhyana, meditation on the Lord, and deep connection. Due to that, we are able to understand what is to be done for Krishna now, what will please him, and what does he want. That is understood very well. These are all very important factors in our Krishna consciousness. According to our intensity of our connection, we get the message of the Lord and we understand it and we execute it. Which means that our factor of how much we want to be connected is also part of it. How eager you are to render that connected service to Krishna. Brahma was on a very high platform. And therefore, Krishna even did not discuss the details. It's mentioned that Narsingadev mentioned his desire to Prahalada that you should rule. Now that you are, your father has passed away, he chose Prahalada. And then you'll see Brahma carried it out in the detail. He had an extensive ceremony and installed Prahalada as the king of the demons and everybody. So sometimes people wonder how come, the demons are ruling. The demons got power by their own so-called, execution of pious activity and everything also. It's not to be thought, people get very confused about how Hiranyakashipu could rule. Can rule. And their ruling is not only by physical force. Their power is also by rendering pious activity and gaining a pious bank account. You will see Ravana was a Brahmana. Bali Maharaj was propped up by, Shukracharya and all of them. He is the guru of the demons. And he was propped up and they follow all those regulations and rules, Paka, you can't deny it to them. And therefore they become qualified to occupy the post, although intentionally they are asurastad viparyaya. They are viparita, means their activity and their notions and their desires are all directly opposite to what Krishna has mentioned, and directly opposite to the Sura or the devotees of the Lord, like the Devas. But they become qualified. Just like you find sometimes people who are ruling democratically, they are on the right track and they have, done all the procedures properly, and then they get popular vote. And then although he may not be right and he may be actually Adharmik Isra, but he's won the election and he will be there as your leader. Isn't it? Similarly, it is a crude example I'm giving. Similarly, Bali Maharaj also was propped up to be the leader by all different types of homas, yajnas, the Vishwajita yajna, and everything was done by Shukracharya. He was brought back to life by Sanjeevani. Shukracharya did so many things to fortify the position of the Asuras. And they got fortified. And then they occupied the position. So a position can be occupied also by subtle power, by piety, by accumulating all. This is why it's very interesting that if you get to know properly what is happening, you will understand why the Asuras also can be in power. It's not that always only devotees will be in power. And there's an explanation according to the sum total of the Rajasika Guna, Tamasika Guna, Sattvika Guna, devotional, this thing, accordingly the leader will appear. The mass of the people in what level they are, they will choose their leadership is also like that. So here, Krishna is deciding that Prahalad should rule. And Prahalad is a devotee in the Asura clan. Just like Bali Maharaj became a devotee from the Asura clan. So devotional service, bhakti, is not dependent even on you being an Asura, does not matter. It's a relative truth. Becoming a devotee is an absolute truth. And it will happen from anywhere in any portion of your relativity. We discussed this yesterday in our evening session about absolute nature and relative nature. So Lord Nrsingadev, he also tells Prahalad, the moment I have touched your father, Hiranyakashipu is already completely purified and he'll get liberated. Because if the absolute touches anything relative, that'll also become purified fully. Although he may not have devotional sukriti, and he must have done many sinful activities, but somehow or the other, kama, dveshat, snehat, even those who are envious, like Hiranyakashipu, asuras tad viparya, even they get purified and get at least a neutral level of liberation, if not devotion fully. Because from that platform, they can practice mad bhaktim labate param. From being completely relieved of any material influence, which is what is purification and self-realization. From there, now you're free to practice Krishna consciousness. So Krishna purifies Hiranyakashipu and brings him to the point of being completely purified of anything material. Why? Shuddham apapa viddham. He has touched Krishna. The Lord took him and put him on his lap. Of course, he dissected and trisected him. He did the original vivisection and took out his intestines and garlanded himself very intimately. Because he did all these things, he got purified. Because he touched the supreme pure, he got completely purified. So after that, he is free to actually practice devotion, and if he wants. And devotion is not something forced and foisted upon you. It is of your own volition that you want to develop your love for Krishna, that you would do. And Prahalad Maharaj is a person who, out of his own volition, is, although born in a Asura family, has become a devotee. And the Lord chooses to put the devotee in charge, who is from the Asura clan. And double purpose is a very great diplomacy too, because the whole Asura clan who is waiting and have lost their leader will not feel this way, that way, if from their clan Prahalad is also put as a ruler. At the same time, Prahalad, being a devotee, will actually preach devotional service into the Asura clan. So all these things were considered, and a very strategic move. Prahalada was instituted, and Brahma actually establishes him as the king, right? So in different times, different things happen. What is the Prahalada moment of your life, or the Hiranyakashipu moment of your life, is also possible for us in Kali Yuga. But we are not having a horoscope as good as Hiranyakashipu. So we can't express publicly or universally our ideas and notions and try to implement them. We are very minuscule beings, and we don't have such a great, wonderful horoscope. But we have these tendencies that can crop in us in Kali Yuga. Both the demoniac tendency and the devotional tendency can also be simultaneously existent in Kali Yuga in the same person. So here the discussion is actually about that tendency, the notion, Asuric notions. There are some Asuric notions perpetuated by the ruling, different governments. And sometimes there's a struggle of a person who would like to have a dharmic type of a setup, and he's struggling to institute it. He may be a devotee, and he may be interested in dharma, but the surrounding ambience may be very difficult. So there'll be all sorts of permutations and combinations of this inside the material world, and especially in Kali Yuga. Coming back to our point that the Asuric tendency also can be in the same person in Kali Yuga. You know that very well, that previously in Satya Yuga, there was like, inter planetary wars. And these are the wars that are described, the demons against the, devas. There was like interplanetary. Then in the Treta Yuga, it was like one nation against the other. It was like Sri Lanka against Ayodhya. That was what was happening. And then in Dwapar Yuga, it was one family in which it appeared. And then inside that family, there were factions in the Kaurava clan. There was a Pandavas, both are Kurus, but the Pandavas were isolated and looked upon differently by Duryodhana and his clan. It happened within a family. And similarly in Kali Yuga, it happens within the person, that a demoniac tendency can crop up, especially if you have wrong association of people. So in this story, you will see Brahma, you will see the demigods character, you will see a pure devotee like Prahalada and Narada Muni character, and you will see the chief of the demigods like Brahma also present, and you will see the Supreme Lord present in his aspect as Narasimhadeva. And all these characters have different levels of devotional service. We are not featuring here the gopis and everybody together, which is completely a different type of devotional service. We are featuring here, or rather the Bhagavatam is featuring here, the quintessential pure devotional service that Prahalada Maharaj committed himself to, determined himself to, and performed. And that is why in that realm of, in an Asuric realm, how he remained very committed to performing devotional service. And Brahma too, in a very difficult situation where he awarded a boon, because, you're put on the spot by Hiranyakashipu saying, listen, I did everything as per the rules, and I performed Ghora Tapasya. You have to give me the benefit that goes with it, whether I am Krishna conscious or not. That's not the point. The point is that I've qualified myself, right? Sometimes devotees do Bhakti Shastri like this. I have done the exam, I have written the exam, and you can see the answers, it's all paka. So whether I copied it from somewhere, cut and pasted from somewhere, or whether I read Prabhupada's books at all or not, all these things cannot be spoken about. Listen, look at the paper. I've written it. Look at the answers. I've done it. You have to give me the Bhakti Shastri certificate. I'm just giving an example of what can happen within our own discipline and situation. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu accosted Brahma like that, and Brahma couldn't say anything much. Of course, he could deny one thing which he asked. He said, I want to be immortal. He said, not possible because I'm immortal myself. So it's impossible for me to give that to you. That's one thing he could tell him. But the other things that Hiranyakashipu asked, he had to grant it, because otherwise there'll be other type of difficulties and problems. So he said, so be it. And at that time, he just offered his deep prayers to Krishna, that it's happening this way. What can I do? Right? So in a very Krishna conscious way, only this boon was also given in one sense. You can't say that Brahma was not depending on Krishna while he said that or gave the boon to Hiranyakashipu. But all said and done, he could have gone a further step and trimmed it down to some more extent, which is what Krishna is telling. You have to be careful. It's not that you should not give a boon. It's telling you have to be careful when you give these boons to these type of people, because they definitely misuse it. They'll definitely misuse it. They become qualified by pious activity and everything in their bank account. But when they get the boon, they'll no more remain pious. They'll be oriented towards exploiting it and doing things against the devotees, which will put you in trouble. Right? So you should stem it at the root, nip it in the bud, and you have to learn how to do it. So this is the advice given. Sometimes we are in similar situations. We have hard decisions to make in life. And Brahma had a hard decision to make. He was accosted by Hiranyakashipu and his tapasya. And he said, now come on, deliver. Give me the boon, because I'm qualified. Right? Sometimes, the character of a person is not really good, but externally he has qualified himself. Because this is such a subjective, intangible quality which you cannot actually fathom. What is the insides of a person? Although everybody knew that Hiranyakashipu was like what he was, but he got qualified. So this is a very interesting aspect. And Brahma was, bewildered. What can I say now? I cannot deny. So many times in the material world, this mix of somebody qualifying himself, although his intentions may not be correct, puts us in a difficult situation. We admit devotees in our movement. We are very open. We are an open door movement. Anybody can step inside because he has a right to do so. And we are hoping against hope that this person, we hope, is going to be successful in his journey. We can't prejudge a person based on his material situation. So we open it up to him. And many times we see that over a period of time, that person does something very abominable. Right? We can't say anything about it. And then we get a bad name. The society gets a bad name. The person who encouraged him gets a bad name. Maybe the guru who, initiated him gets a bad name. Maybe the temple president under whom he has been serving gets a bad name. Everybody said, why did he not see this? This is a very deep contamination this person has. How come you did not? He spoiled the whole thing, the community. But we can't do anything about it. So I should say, conjecture is Brahma is being told. Similarly, even Shiva is told in the Vrikasura pastime. Krishna appears as a brahmachari and saves Lord Shiva. That's the only other type of brahmachari avatar he took apart from Vamana. He comes, Krishna's brahmachari, sannyasi, he's grahastha, is all sorts of, things in his avatars. As a brahmachari, he comes and then he bewilders Vrikasura, telling that, don't believe Shiva. He goes to the extent of saying, Shiva, don't believe that guy. He says all sorts of things and all. He gives boons very easily and they don't work actually. He decries Shiva. he decries his boon giving and tells Brakasura that be careful, if you want to try it out, and fools Vikasura into trying it out. And Vikasura destroys himself. Then the Lord approaches Shiva, who's running around trying to save himself, and says, relax, it's over, but you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't offer boons like this. So all the great leaders of our cosmos, they similarly have such situations. It's not that only we make mistakes like that. They're great devotees. And sometimes they're in difficult situation. Leadership, especially when you're leading people into Krishna consciousness or helping them, is a great challenge in this material world. It's not an ordinary thing. And hard decisions have to be taken. Stakes are very high. There are opposing opinions and there are deep emotions involved, especially in Hiranyakashipu asking for this boon. And Brahma, although he should be siding on the side of the devatas, gave this boon to Hiranyakashipu. He gave this boon. And the only person who could save this situation is Krishna has to step inside, right? And put it together. So when we speak about demons and speak about the things, it's a difficult thing to do because for Krishna is the father of both of them. He doesn't dispossess them. It doesn't dispossess them. It's interesting to note that the same Shukracharya who is giving them the potency and the power by Homa, Yajna, Tapasya and all that, is also relying on the Vedic regulations to do so. In fact, in the Vamana pastime, he will even tell Vamana, after Shukracharya sent Bali to the Sutala region and given him great favors and benedictions by his presence in that place and everything together, he will come back and speak to Shukracharya and try to pacify him. Because Shukracharya is anyway a Vedic follower, he's propagating religion and doing these things. Maybe he's doing to some of my sons who are not very much with me. But still he meets Shukracharya and said, you should not think bad about your disciple Bali. You should give him your blessings. You are such a great Brahmana. You're wonderful, you're that, you're this, everything. It's very amazing. Vamana comes and praises Shukracharya. And Shukracharya gets pacified a little bit because he's recognized by Vishnu. And although Prabhupada has commented that he's on the side of the Asuras because he's getting better dakshina than the Devas give. And to attract Shukracharya on the side, that the Asuras have paid more. The opposing forces always play these type of tricks. They bribe and they get the good person to come on the other side. And if you have a little weakness, you'll go. And Shukracharya Prabhupada said that the weakness for some assets, some money, extra bucks that he was getting, and therefore he fell on the side of the Asuras. But Krishna was very neutral. He did not say, you're taking a bribe, you're on the side, nothing. He came and praised him. And he said all these things to him neutrally, And then Shukracharya replied amazingly, Mantratas tantratas chidram, desha kalarha vastutaha, sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. In other words, he told Vamana that in all my homa, yajna and all powerful things that I do, there is always chidram, means imperfections. Sarvarambahi doshena dhume ragni rivavrata. As Krishna is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, dosha, faults will be there. And all those faults, you know how I plug it? Sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. How do I plug all the holes? By sankirtana, by glorifying you through your holy names. This is my secret. So even Shukracharya glorifies the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And even Shukracharya is using that to plug the holes of his performance in Homa, Yajna, everything. And because of that, the Asuras are getting power. Can you believe this? It's the Harinam Sankirtan or glorification of Krishna that is done by Sukracharya, that makes them powerful. So you can see how neutral Krishna is, his absolute truth. If you go to Guruvayur, where I preach a lot, and we are developing a project there also immediately behind the famous Guruvayur temple, you will see that Siveli procession happens. There's a beautiful procession of the elephants coming. The whole temple gets lit up. I mean, I've never seen such a beautiful program anywhere. And 3 huge elephants come, and the central elephant is having a 8 kg deity of Guruvayurappan, Krishna. And there is royal welcome and Chanda Mela, and a lot of people come to see that event, especially in the night when it gets lit up. There is before that, this is the procession offered by the Devas. And before it, there is a Asura Vadyam and an Asuric procession offered by the Asuras to the Lord. And the beat for that is Asuric beat. And it is not so decorative and this thing and all that. One elephant comes and the drumming is very different. I was very surprised. No, he said, yeah, this is the Asuras offering to Vishnu. They also placate Vishnu. So, but their prayer is different. We want to become powerful and we want to rule. So it's very amazing of the neutrality and how Krishna finally does what he needs to do in spite of these things. So when we see instructions, I'm talking about high-class instructions between great people and conversations. We should not look at it from a small perspective of tiny, teeny-weeny, infinitesimal human beings struggling our existence here and thinking something. It's happening on a very high level. So when Krishna is telling Brahma, be careful, don't give boons, this is a very high-level discussion. And is an instruction understood by Brahma in a very superior way. Uttamas chintitam kuryat. Okay? I'll stop here. And if you have any questions, I'll take for the next 10 minutes. I'm supposed to stop at 8:15. I have some other engagement also. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, you have any question, you may pose it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for your very, very wonderful class and wonderful association on this day. Thank you, Maharaj. You very practically you share so many points that how we have to see what is inside, how we are even putting our material things into this Krishna conscious association also, like taking Bhakti Shastri and all that. So yes, Prabhuji. So as long as we are in this material world, this struggle is going on every day and every moment. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj, for pointing it out and how serious we should be.
Thank you. Any questions anybody has? If you're rushing to get back to your place, to your workplace, I don't want to tax you.
Yes,
But
yes,
if any,
Maharaj, there is one hand raised. Hemangi Gopeshwari Devi Mataji, you can please ask your question.
yeah.
Thank you, Mataji, for giving me the opportunity. My humble obeisances to you, Maharaj. You were discussing that there is different kinds of devotees, and there's one kind who hears the instruction and then runs with it, and the other one just procrastinates. So is this difference because they are utilizing their free will in different ways, or is this something karmic? Is this the way their karma is?
No, you said it. It's their own volition. I use the word. By their own exercise of free will. I mean, what's free will is another big topic. But by exercisation of their own free will, they are acting like that. This is their nature at that point of time. Swabhavastu pravartate. Krishna uses this word. Nakartritvam nakarmani lokasya srajati prabhu nakarma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. They act according to their individuality, their desire, their free will, their situation, and the mix also of the pushings of material nature, all this put together, Swabhava is nature. He will act according to that. So our proclivities, our inclinations, our desires, our intentions, they're all entwined deeply with our material situation also. But by chanting Hare Krishna, by rendering devotional service to Krishna, which is very powerful bhakti processes, it can lift you out of that morass of stuff and put you into a much higher position. Just like Prahalada, he was born to a demon family, and he stood out. Bali Maharaj was lifted out of that difficult situation by Vamana, and he somehow or the other cheated him. Chalayasi vikramane balimadputa Vamana. So unless this great mercy is there from the Lord, from his pure devotee, sometimes we can't extricate ourselves from this situation. So although we have tendencies, that's why we should feel our pulse. What's my devotional pulse? Where am I in Krishna consciousness? Devotees should deeply discuss these things and reflect them. These are the things you see in the conversations in the Bhagavatam. And this is what great devotees want. They want to be told, where am I? How am I? Why is this happening to me? When will I get pure devotion to Krishna? This is a struggle. You have to eagerly desire it. That is called free will. When you exercise your desire and ask for Krishna's mercy, understanding your situation very well, that time you're really exercising your free will. Other times, maybe you're exercising a forced will. You're not very free. When you're under the modes of material nature, you only think that you're exercising your free will. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. He thinks he is doing, whereas prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Is helplessly forced to do things, and stupidly he claims proprietorship over his action and the results. So that is forced will. So I hope I'm making myself clear when you made that statement, free will, and I'm just explaining volition and free will. So free will means in your state of a vacant state of knowing about Krishna and knowing about the fact that you're wrong and all that, you pull yourself up and say, Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam vam vishame bhavam budau kripaya tavapada pankajastita dhuli sadirsham vichintaya. That time you're free willing, feelingly praying to Krishna, not the mechanical this thing alone, that you've understood and you're praying. So that time we know where we are. And that's where a genuine guru will help you with that. He will mince no words in telling you this is right or this is not right. Okay? That's important to know. I hope that's helping you. Who's that? Himangi Go.
No. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. I request Gail Mataji, Gaurangi Mataji, you can please ask your question.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. I just wanted to see if I understood one point that you were making properly. So we were saying that like those of like Lord Brahma and possibly Lord Shiva too, because of the austerities that these demon personalities were performing, they were obligated to reward them with their boons, right? At least to some extent. So is it that they were correct in awarding the boons, but they were incorrect in awarding the full extent of the boon? It was like the degree to which they extended, they awarded the boons. They should have like toned the boons down a bit. They had some latitude as to how fully they could have delivered those boons. Is that the understanding?
Very much, something like that. I mean, I wouldn't know the details of it. Like I mentioned, that it's a very high-class conversation and a discussion. There may be very subtle nuances to that, which I may not be able to fathom. But my understanding is that Krishna did not forbid them from giving the boons. He rather said, be careful how you give the boons.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important point there. I think you have articulated it quite well. It's something there. I'm not able to put my finger on it exactly and get the right words to express it. But that I think is the
gist.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Next, I request Ananga Kishori Mataji. You can please ask your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, my question is like how you mentioned that in Kali Yuga, the evil forces are also within us, and yet there is hope that Bhagavatam has so many verses saying that even a Chandal once saying Hare Krishna, he's immediately promoted to the platform of a Vaishnav. So we hear these things and we are trying to put it in practice. But we also know that our own, like you also mentioned, we all have a horoscope. And so maybe it's the horoscope or our bad habits and conditionings, they keep us under a jurisdiction which we can't get over. And then Krishna is also giving us the rope to hold on to, but my hand is not reaching the rope, although I'm trying. So, so what extra efforts are needed to get the mercy?
Well, that's a very detailed question, and I do not know exactly your situation. I am not able to personally mentor you every day to be able to answer that question, or I was mentoring you every day to answer that questions too. It's specific and general together, but I'll make an attempt to tell you. But first of all, don't complicate yourself too much with overthinking and analyzing with a material brain the mercy of the Lord and everything. It's a trip. It's not so easy. The best thing to do is to listen to the instructions of the Acharya. Everything becomes all right. That is the meaning of Shraddha. Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kohile Sudrida Nischaya Krishna Bhakti Kohile Sarva Karma Krita Hoya. The faith, the word faith is actually not the exact meaning of Shraddha, but that's it nearest, so I'll use the word faith. The faith that simply by rendering service to Krishna, everything will become all right and there'll be perfection for me. That is the key. Although I may not have a satisfying answer every time I ask somebody, and although I may not crack it fully, it is not dependent on all these things, Bhakti. Bhakti is natural. It is inside you. So don't go off too much on the karma track, on the jnana track and the yoga track. It's required to some extent. Fine. But what is important is to awaken our dormant love for Krishna. This is where this is how we navigate. It's not required to have perfection in some of these things. I don't have a perfect understanding. Okay, Baba, I'm not able to understand it so well. I don't have that level of intelligence. But whether you have it or not, you'll be benedicted equally if you carry out the instruction of the Acharya. What Prabhupada has mentioned, you chant 16 rounds a day. You wake up for Mangalarati. You read my books. You worship Krishna. And you render service in the association of devotees. If you do that, these things will automatically happen. I shouldn't use the word automatic, but they will happen. That is the guarantee given by Prabhupada. It's not that Prabhupada checked all of us. Do you understand? Do you have the IQ to understand this and all that? He didn't go around saying that. He said, simply follow this, do it. It's very powerful, the process, the bhakti process. Bhakti sanjayate bhakti. Bhakti produces bhakti. Remember that. So let us exercise our deep internal devotional muscles in the gym of Bhakti Yoga and develop that volition, that spontaneous aspect. And for that, anybody can do it. It doesn't depend on your horoscope. It doesn't depend on anything, because even Bali Maharaj did it. Just remember, that's why that pastime is highlighted. Because by Krishna's mercy, a demon became a Mahajana instantly. Sushubhis takshanat. That's the power of bhakti. Okay. So I cannot answer all the detailed stuff that you've asked. Is it because of this? I'm not able to hold the rope. This, I don't know your situation. But I have faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. That faith in the process of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada took it all over the world and gave it to everybody. Look at his very broad understanding. And similarly, I can be a recipient of that sincerely. Simply follow it. Sometimes simple-mindedness is very important, and it becomes a scoring feature. Okay? Right.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Can I?
Let's do.
Is there anybody else?
There are 2 more questions. You have time to Maharaj, or?
Okay, one more.
Yeah. Bharata Bharati Mataji, you can please ask your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai. This is a very wonderful class, Maharaj. And when you are talking about the Guruvayur temple, I was there in the temple once 2 years back, and I saw the procession of the elephants. It was so wonderful, Maharaj. When you are saying about that, I can feel that. And I have only one thing to say, that I didn't see the procession of the Daityas. I just saw the one in the daytime when they do with the elephants around the temple. As we are also different varieties of the devotees that go, the Daityas procession means the people, the devotees having the wants and the material things that they go in their mind, and maybe we can consider like that, Maharaj.
I don't know what picture into that
Because
type.
I am thinking in my mind, like even we are like that procession following the temple, wandering around the temples. And
material desire doesn't mean you're an asura.
okay.
The demigods have material desires, and Krishna encourages them by giving actions and devotional service. You're not a criminal just because you have a material desire. That is part of your contamination, which you're trying to get out. Asuric desire is even worse than that. You can say a material desire, when it intensifies and when you go behind it, can lead you to becoming something like that. Right? Everybody in this material world has a material desire. That's why they have come here. Is accused of having potentially a tendency to go off the rails. So those people who have gone off the rails completely are the asuras. And then they're going sticking up there also. They're not turning back. And so Krishna in his punishing mode also says that you guys, you do like this, I'll keep you like that there. Tanyaham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradhaman kshipami ajasram ashubham asureswayeva yonishu. Very strict statement Krishna says. These guys, I'll put them deeper and deeper into hellish conditions, and they will be born again and again out of asura yonis, asuric wombs, and they'll plummet down like nothing. That's a very strong statement to scare you from moving in that direction.
Yeah. But anyways, they have to come back also, right, Maharaj? As you also said.
It's not your problem. You don't worry about that. Leave it to Krishna.
Yeah.
Don't worry
Like
about
how
those
he,
not within
with
yourself.
with
Worry about the
Chalanam,
fact
you said
that you have
he
certain.
treated Bali Maharaj like Vamana Deva. Somehow he tried to elevate those devotees also from the Asura families.
Fine, but why don't you worry about yourself, about the process that Prabhupada has given us, and execute it properly? Don't worry
Yeah,
about,
Prabhuji.
all those other things. And there are many who are asuric in this world and they are doing certain things. What
Yeah.
the world has to have an increased population of devotees in order to be able to fight that. So if each the units becomes fully Krishna conscious, then we have a force, right? So then we can
Sure,
work
Prabhuji.
on other things. Right now, we should completely worry about ourselves and
Mhm.
our community of devotees if we can help them in some way in following Prabhupada's instructions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very, very wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Or is
There
that
is one, yeah, there is one question in the chat. Would you like to take, Maharaj?
who is that one person?
Sagari Mataji is asking, Brahma further gave boons to Ravana in Treta Yuga. How do we understand if the Lord already instructed him to grant boons carefully?
Yeah, because we do not know what that situation is. It's not, see, that's why I said it's not like we do things. I told you it's a high class, different level of discussion. So Ravana's situation and the thing may have been different from Hiranyakashipu's situation, though generally speaking, they're all same, they're asuras. One size fits all type of a prescription should have been given and all that. May not be. And it is not that Brahma is bewildered again that he gave a boon. I don't think so. Brahma is in a position where he has to give a boon. And he has done. And that occurs often to Brahma. And also it could be that, like in the Brahma Vimohana Leela, Prabhupada is mentioning that Krishna purposely put Brahma into moha so that he can perform this Leela. So it's not exactly that he is by his own volition in that type of a situation, right? So he acted as an instrument of Krishna. So it could be that the Lord wanted to perform Ramachandra Leela and Brahma granted it being part of it. We don't know. That's why I said it's a different level of a discussion and an interaction between Krishna and Brahma, who is occupying a very key position. You have to do favors sometimes for the managing director and somebody else. And he tells you that, can you just adjust this a little bit because I want this like that? You'll say, yeah, of course, it's all yours. A little adjustment. I won't go and say, no, I will not do it. I'll follow the rules exactly in my position. I should do only this and not that and all that. Devotees don't reply like that to the Lord. They'll say, why not? For you, anything I'll do. I can take it on my head. I can take the brunt of it on my head. And devotees will do anything for Krishna. They take a bad name, they'll take this, they'll do anything. It could also be like that. We don't know. So I wouldn't enter that area of discussion too much with my puny understanding of Brahma and Krishna's relationship. Okay.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Maharaj.
and Hare Krishna. Nice meeting with all of you. I am here in Charlotte, physically also. I'll be meeting with some of you in the evening on our program. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's pay our obeisances to Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. Vancha
Vanshakarbhyascha kripa sindhubhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo
Namaha.
Koti
Jai Shri
Vaishnava
Anantapuri Vaishnava.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Holy
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Bhakti
Thank you
Hare
for
Vinod
Krishna.
Maharaj
coming,
ki
Thank you,
jai.
Maharaj.
Jai.
So much,
Hari
Maharaj.
Hari Bol.
Hari Hari. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Nanda.
I did not know at the end.
Nityananda.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so much,
Krishna.
Maharaj.